Hello, everybody. We have some movement on the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni front. So, you may know that Ryan Reynolds, who is Blake Lively's husband, did file a motion to dismiss. Now, Ryan Reynolds, I do have my web. Let me pull it up just so y'all can see it. I know a lot of y'all were saying it helps you understand what's going on so much. So, here is the little portion of the web we're looking at. This right here, this Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband. As you may know, maybe you didn't, it gets to be a little bit difficult to keep up with, but this guy right here and this lady right here are really the main two people that are named and getting in the fight. That's Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. So a lot of these people have now ended up either filing their own lawsuits or just got dragged into it because of their alleged participation in the whole controversy. For example, we have these publicists, Leslie Sloan and Stephanie Jones. We have these other publicists, PR people, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan. Now, all these people are named in different aspects of the lawsuit, but all of them are also responsible for their own legal pleadings because in some of these cases, some people are pleading defenses to certain things that other people cannot plead. For example, Blake Lively is pleading that she has an exception, she has an exemption to defamation. She can't be sued for defamation because what she was doing was speaking out against SUL abuse, SUL retaliation. And she claims that there are laws on the books that protect her. There's also laws on the books that New York Times is trying to allege they're protected. Last time I made a video, I was saying that the New York Times was on Justin Baldoni's side. I do not know why I was saying that was wrong. That was incorrect. I don't know why I was saying that. I said it a couple times too. But the New York Times is also being sued by Justin Baldoni. Now, they have filed their own motion to dismiss that is working its way through the courts right now, but the New York Times is also alleging that there is a certain law, a statute, the fair reporting privilege, that there is a certain privilege they are protected by, which is the fair reporting privilege. So each party has to file their own arguments as far as these motions to dismiss are concerned. So today we're going to be talking about a document that was just filed a day or two ago. It just hit the docket as far as I could tell this morning. April 2nd is the first time that I saw this document hit the docket. I don't know if there's always that much of a delay, but that has been happening to me lately where whenever I'll just be refreshing a lawsuit page all day, nothing shows up. And then a couple days later, I'll look back at it again. And it turns out that something was actually filed on the day that I was refreshing all day, but it just didn't show up. But what it is, Ryan Reynolds, he has filed his own separate motion to dismiss. Motion to dismiss what? Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against him. Now, Ryan Reynolds did not file his motion to dismiss along with Blake Lively. Like I said, they had two separate arguments, two separate legal theories. So they have two separate motions to dismiss pending. So Justin Baldoni sues Ryan Reynolds. Let's just scope in only on these two parties, right? This will help you understand what's going on in this particular document. These two right here, Justin Baldoni separately, independently sued Ryan Reynolds. Now, Ryan Reynolds, he filed a motion to dismiss that lawsuit. I'm just the supportive spouse, buddy. I have nothing to do with this. The judge needs to dismiss this lawsuit against me. I didn't do anything at all wrong. Everything I said whenever I called the man a predator, that was opinion. Obviously, that was opinion. And even if it wasn't opinion, Justin Baldoni has admitted to being a predator himself on his own podcast. These are Ryan Reynolds' arguments. Okay, I'm not saying I'm adopting them. I'm just saying this is what Ryan Reynolds had argued. And he's saying, on top of all that, before we even can get to all that, Ryan Reynolds is saying, Justin Baldoni hasn't even adequately pled enough specificity with any of this stuff for me to be on the hook for anything. Basically, Ryan Reynolds is saying, Justin Baldoni is just vaguely throwing words out there. None of the things he's saying actually would even make me liable for any of this defamation, extortion, tortious interference. Justin Baldoni is suing Ryan Reynolds specifically because Justin alleges that Ryan interfered with Justin Baldoni's contract with WME, who was his agent. So Justin Baldoni lost his agency representation, and he's claiming in court that the reason he lost it is largely due to Ryan Reynolds having this power, this influence in Hollywood, and he on two separate occasions, Justin Baldoni is saying two separate occasions, Ryan Reynolds specifically called Justin Baldoni a sexual predator. to people that he had contracts with. One time it was allegedly Justin Baldoni's talent manager, Danny Greenberg, and another time was at the Deadpool Wolverine premiere where Ryan Reynolds allegedly approached another executive at WME saying Justin Baldoni is a sexual predator and nobody wants anything to do with him and you should stop working with this sexual predator. Okay, so that's what Justin Baldoni alleges. Ryan Reynolds doesn't explicitly deny calling Justin Baldoni an sexual predator, but he does in his motion to dismiss kind of downplay the sexual part of it. There's all these arguments that and I thought they were strong arguments. If you go back and watch my coverage on this, you will hear me saying, this is actually a pretty strong argument from Ryan Reynolds, is that he's saying calling someone a predator because it is not a predator, only predator. Calling someone a predator is not defamation. Reason it's not defamation is because what even is a predator? It's just like hyperbole. It's just vague. Like, there's no agreed upon definition of a predator. And then Ryan Reynolds had provided all this case law saying, look, Your Honor, look at all these cases where somebody just simply called someone a predator and it wasn't specific enough to actually constitute defamation. Well, on top of that, Ryan Reynolds also says all this stuff about I'm interfering with his talent agency contract is also bunk, and you just need to dismiss those allegations as well. There's no need to go to court on those. And Ryan says the reason for that is Justin Baldoni hasn't alleged a specific contract with which Ryan Reynolds interfered. And I don't think that's a strong argument. I think that Justin Baldoni has very specifically alleged exactly which contracts Ryan Reynolds interfered with, which were Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni's contracts for management, talent agency representation, etc., and the terms and conditions of that contract. I do think he did specify those allegations just fine. So yesterday or the day before, whatever, Baldoni, Wayfarer, Jamie Heath, all of these folks over here, they went ahead and filed their response to Ryan Reynolds's motion to dismiss. Okay, so you understand what's going on here. The first lawsuit filed we're just talking about these two parties right here, right? Okay, so first lawsuit filed would have been Justin versus Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds files a motion to dismiss with arguments that I just laid out to y'all. And then yesterday, these people, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and all them, responded opposing Ryan Reynolds's motion to dismiss. So I'm going to pull out my notes here, but I do also want to pull up that document just to show it to y'all. We certainly are not going to go through the whole thing, but I want to show it to y'all. This is docket number 160 on the docket. As you can see, it was filed yesterday. So it was filed yesterday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, but it is not a joke, okay? Consolidated plaintiffs, that's like Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer parties, opposition to Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss. Okay, so they're going after Ryan Reynolds' arguments only. There's a lot of other arguments flying around, as I laid out at the beginning of this video, but this is only the one having to do with Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss. So as we're looking through this, the sting of the arguments of Wayfarer, look, these are the people filing this. Okay, so Wayfarer Studios, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath. It ends with Us Movie LLC, Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Abel, Steve Sarowitz. They are the ones who are filing this document, and they are opposing Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss their complaint. Now, he based his arguments on the failure to state a claim, meaning Ryan Reynolds is basically saying, okay, Justin Baldoni just laid out a bunch of, like, basically a burn book, but there's nothing in there that's a law. There's nothing that's in there that's a statute that I violated, right? Like that's Ryan Reynolds' argument. This is interesting. Look how they put this bold italics quote. Remember, this is coming from Justin Baldoni and them, and it is being lodged toward Ryan Reynolds. Look, they quoted Ryan Reynolds. Quote, I've realized that I'm too big to fail at this point. So I just crush my enemies and drink their blood. I mean, I don't think that's literal, but I mean, girl, who even knows? It is very bad to put just right at the beginning. It makes him look bad. But again, y'all, this could have been a joke. They do give a footnote citation. His skincare regime alone would bankrupt you. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman bring banter and bromance to London. So this was an article in The Guardian last year. So Baldoni says Ryan Reynolds pretends that the Wayfarer party's complaint fails to set forth basis for Ryan Reynolds' liability, and that Ryan just simply acted as a supportive spouse. And then then the lawyers go, not so. The complaint specifically alleges ample facts to support the Wayfarer's party's claims against him based on both his direct actions and his liability as a co-conspirator. Because remember, this is a civil conspiracy allegation that these people were engaged in a scheme working all together to harm Wayfarer, Baldoni, their movie, and all that. They say Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss fails to show that the Wayfarers fell short of their pleading burden. So we had a certain standard, we met it. Ryan said we didn't meet it, but he fails to actually show we didn't meet it. So therefore, the case has to be allowed to move forward. Now, one thing that could happen is the judge could dismiss some of the claims. Like the judge could say, okay, I'm just pulling one out of the hat here. I don't know which one. I'm just saying, like, let's just pick one. The judge could say, all right, I don't really see enough information, enough allegations here to show that there was extortion. I don't see the extortion claim. I don't believe Justin Baldoni has made the extortion claim, but maybe there's defamation. We'll let that move forward. The judge could also say, because free speech and the freedom of speech is so enshrined in the Constitution, these are public figures. I don't think they really pled actual malice. Let's get rid of that defamation. But extortion, let's keep that, right? So the judge could kind of mix and match which things he or she allows to move forward. We did just see this happen in the Limp Bizkit case, where the judge in federal court decided to keep the copyright claims, but dismissed the other claims for lack of jurisdiction and sent them off to state court. So something like that could happen here. I don't know how likely that is to happen or anything like that, but I'm just letting y'all know it's something that is possible. It's something that we've seen happen before in the high profile cases on the motion to dismiss stage. But just to remind you, the stage that we're at right now in the Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer, all that litigation is not even to the part where they're doing depositions. They're only just trying to even see if they're allowed to bring these cases here. I mean, everybody and their mama has filed a motion to dismiss the other side's claims. So we're going to have to see what actually survives this stage. And then Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer's arguments are kind of that, okay, listen, Your Honor, even if you don't think that we alleged enough information to support our claims, before you dismiss, Your Honor, hear us out. We have more information. And before you dismiss, we want to let you know we found out more information since the last time we submitted a complaint. We've gotten this information from different places, including the public, including tips from the public, including et cetera, et cetera. So, Your Honor, before you dismiss the case, you should let us amend the complaint. Okay, so they're doing something called arguing in the alternative. This is where you really want one thing, right? You're really asking the judge for one thing. But you're like, Your Honor, if you're not inclined to give us that, we're going to ask for this other thing. And it kind of argues against itself, but it's called arguing in the alternative. And it is kind of like a backup argument in case the judge just doesn't want to hear it on your first argument, the one that you really want. So basically, the entire 42-page document is Justin Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties are basically saying, Your Honor, we have laid out plenty specific enough facts for you to allow this to move forward, at least to let us go to depositions and get a little discovery. But even if we haven't, we found some more new information and we should be allowed to amend our complaint so that we can make even stronger, even more evidence-backed arguments. Now, will the judge be inclined to allow this is really the question. If the judge really truly doesn't think that Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer have stated enough information to support their claims to survive the motion to dismiss, is the judge going to say, yeah, you can go and amend this complaint now, what, a second time, a third time? I can tell you what they're going to argue. They're going to say, no, this another chance. Justin Baldoni and them had 2 chances already to make these arguments. They're doing all these public press statements and everything else. I mean, they've had plenty of time to make their claims. Why are you going to keep dragging us, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and everybody all back up into court whenever they had a chance to make these claims? Too late. Too bad, so sad, you snooze, you lose. But Baldoni would say, well, we didn't have any way to even know that information until we filed. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Now, I did have another little loose end to tie up. So that's the failure to state a claim arguments. Now, Ryan Reynolds also did argue that it was just his opinion. It was merely his opinion that he was going around spewing and telling people, including the talent agent and everybody else, that Justin Baldoni was an sexual predator. Um, Ryan Reynolds is saying that's just an opinion. Justin Baldoni is saying, no, it is not. First of all, calling someone a predator is not. All these little case law and everything that's cute, Ryan Reynolds tried to rely on, but there's nothing to do with that. He was citing stuff that said predator. We're talking about stuff that says sexual predator. And I think this is one of the strongest arguments. If y'all will recall, whenever I was talking about Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss, I was saying he had two pretty strong arguments that I was interested to see how Justin Baldoni and them were going to respond to these arguments. One of them was all of the case law that says that you can call someone a predator and it's not defamation. Ryan Reynolds did provide a lot of that. The other argument I found to be very compelling was that Ryan Reynolds and his lawyers said, okay, well, Justin Baldoni, he wanted to mention his podcast so much. Let's take a look at that podcast, actually, because Justin Baldoni says it. He's the one who brings it up. Anyone who knows Justin would know he's an upstanding man. Just look at his podcast, look at his this, look at his that. And on his podcast, he did say some stuff that looked like admissions, like racism, misogyny, I've done it all. And it's like, ooh. Maybe you shouldn't say stuff like that, like, specifically. A lot of y'all were in the comments like, that doesn't mean he's a predator. Agreed. It doesn't mean he's a predator. It doesn't mean he admitted to being a predator. But I did still find it to be compelling because you cannot get stuff in. If you go run those tapes back, I said, this is a smart way to get something in, because at a motion to dismiss phase, you're really limited at what stuff, evidence that you could bring before the court. If it's not already presented in that complaint, you can't bring it in. It's called extrinsic evidence. But if the person in the complaint brought it up first, namely in this situation would be Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer, etc., if they brought something up first, it's fair game, no pun intended, because I know we're venturing close to the Scientologists over here. But I was very impressed that they were able to bring it in because, in my opinion, they could bring it in because Justin Baldoni opened the door to talk about anyone who knows his podcasts knows he's this, that, and the other. And then Ryan Reynolds is like, yeah, okay, actually, let's look at the podcast, and then pulled up some questionable statements, perhaps out of context. So those were the two big arguments that I thought Ryan Reynolds made that were fairly strong that would need to be addressed by Justin Baldoni. If you remember, I also said the predator versus sexual predator is going to be what I want to see if the judge cares about, because just general predator seems different than calling someone an sexual predator. Well, indeed, I did accurately anticipate that Justin Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties would hone in on that. They, in response to Ryan Reynolds showing all of these predator case law lawsuits where you can call someone a predator, it's not defamation. They do distinguish, Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer and them, they do distinguish. They say, he didn't just say predator, he said sexual predator. And you have to look at the context. All this other crap, these other cases that Ryan shows, none of those really address the context. Ryan Reynolds, a very powerful person in Hollywood who is indisputably a huge actor, and he owns a marketing company, and he owns all those other businesses, et cetera, et cetera. Ryan Reynolds said it to a talent agent, not only a talent agent, but an agent at the agency where Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively are represented. So this is the context, Your Honor, that you need to look at. On top of the fact, he didn't just simply offhandedly say that, oh, Justin Baldoni's a predator. No, he went to these people, approached these people for the purpose of harming Justin Baldoni, for the purpose of interfering with Justin Baldoni's business, management, business relationships, network, etc. And in fact, and indeed, the man did get let go from his agency, and so it worked. So that's Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer's response to Ryan Reynolds saying that thing about the predator. You can say predator. They're like, you didn't just say predator, buddy. You said it in a certain context. Justin Baldoni and them are like, Ryan Reynolds cases talk about like Instagram posts and stuff. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about going directly to the Hollywood agent and having some power. Now, the other argument that I thought was very strong on Ryan Reynolds' part was that, look, a lot of this stuff is out there in the open. We got Justin Baldoni admitting to being a racist, a misogynist, and not getting consent before he did stuff or whatever, right? I mean, you can go and read that. And we do have a response to those allegations from Justin Baldoni in this filing. They say, you can't bring that stuff in at a motion to dismiss. All that stuff that I said on a podcast, you can't bring that in. That has nothing to do with this. You can't rely on that. If you want to bring that in, we got to go to discovery. That is not an issue to be determined right now. The factual basis of whether or not Justin Baldoni is in fact an sexual predator. This is an issue of fact. This is for a jury to decide, and you cannot bring in this extrinsic evidence. So remember how I was like, oh, it's pretty cool they were able to get this in at the motion to dismiss phase. Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer's lawyers are saying, no, you can't. You can't get this in at this stage. No, you cannot. You can bring that up just as soon as we get to discovery, buddy. So they're basically saying that, Your Honor, you're not even allowed to consider this. Now, what is the truth? I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what the judge says. It's going to come down to a very particular and specific rule of evidence. And then the last two kind of like loose ends are whenever you are a public figure suing for defamation, there's an extra standard that you have to prove, and it's called actual malice. This comes from the robust protections on the freedom of speech in the United States of America. We are supposed to be able to talk about and criticize public figures, criticize and talk about issues of public concern, high profile issues, and especially where someone has specifically availed themselves to the public, like you put yourself out there to have people look at you, to have people talk about you. You're a public figure. And so for that reason, we're not going to let you just sue any and everybody that's talking about you without something else, right? Imagine if like Donald Trump or Joe Biden or whoever, Kamala Harris, anybody, any like big politician, imagine if like Harvey Weinstein or whatever could sue anybody who said anything about them for defamation. It would just be like nobody could talk anymore. So in order to succeed on a defamation claim as a public figure, you have to show that the person who made the claims, not only did they make a false statement of fact that was presented as if it was true to another person, which caused harm. You have to prove all that stuff, but you also have to prove that the person who said the statement actually knew that what they were saying was false, and they just boldfaced lied about you publicly to harm you, and it harmed you. Or alternatively, you could try to prove that they avoided learning the truth. They could have learned the truth. They ignored the truth, but they really should have known the truth, and they just kind of went out of their way not to learn the truth, and then they still just said this defamatory thing about you. So when Ryan filed his motion to dismiss Baldoni's lawsuit, he said he really believed the stuff he was saying. So for that reason, there's no actual malice. But Justin Baldoni is saying, no, he did not really believe that stuff. He knew that it wasn't true. Now, that is also going to come down to a finding of fact. So I would have a hard time seeing how that could possibly get past a motion to dismiss. You have to plead actual malice. Justin Baldoni had to show that Ryan Reynolds truly knew or had reason to know that the fact that Justin Baldoni was a sexual predator was not true. That's going to be hard to get past at this phase because that seems to be more of a factual finding that needs to happen after motion to dismiss. So where does that leave us? Well, after this opposition filing, Ryan Reynolds' side will get the opportunity to file one last final reply. Okay, so Justin Baldoni sues Ryan Reynolds. Ryan files a motion to dismiss. Motion to dismiss, Baldoni then files his opposition to the motion to dismiss. There's one more chance for Ryan to reply to the opposition, and then that'll be it. Then the ball will be in the judge's court to determine which of these claims survive, if any, if all. And then I assume some claims are going to survive in as far as the Ryan Reynolds. I believe, I think, I suspect, I predict. Again, things could change. It could depend what Ryan Reynolds files. I suspect that the judge will either deny the motion to dismiss and allow the claims to move forward, or will maybe grant a couple on the motion to dismiss, but allow some claims to go forward. That is the most likely outcome, in my opinion. But the judge, I'm not the judge. I don't know what the judge's going to do. We're just going to have to see. But this isn't going to be something that's going to be decided anytime extremely soon because, like I said, Ryan Reynolds then has, I think, a couple weeks at least to file a reply to this opposition. And then after that, the judge is going to get her or his opportunity to decide on the case. So, yep, Ryan Reynolds filed a motion to dismiss Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. Justin Baldoni has now responded. And when I say Justin Baldoni, he's a stand-in for all of them, Wayfarer and all of them, everybody except for Jed Wallace. He's kind of on an island over there. He's not joining in with everybody else. He's got his own thing going on. That's all we really had for today. In the meantime, if facts ain't defamation, neither is reading a court document, and everybody is innocent and not liable until proven otherwise in court. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.